So have you ever wondered when you are looking at somebody's behaviour what they're really saying rather than the words they're actually using? Subtle head movements, averted gazes, those micro expressions. These are some of the few things that I'm going to show you in dissecting Harry and Meghan's South Africa tour interviews. So we're going to start with the first one. And by the end of this, you never know, you might become your own expert in studying people's body language. But be careful, because this can create a lot of challenges in your personal life if you're picking up on things that your friends or family don't want you to pick up on. If this is something that you are interested in, then welcome to TandT. So hey everyone, before we dive into, is going to be the drink of choice that I always do at the beginning of every video. Of course, you can fast forward this, but if you want to join in, then send your videos in to the email address that is running across the bottom here now. So all you need to say in this video is grab your drink of choice, whatever that may be, maybe showcase what you are drinking, add a little something, because it's 5 o'clock somewhere. Here it is now.
It's that time of day that we hear Em say that familiar sound, "Let's gather round." But instead, it's me. The clock says 3, so grab your drink. Now, let me think, a little something something or peach or pear. No, not for me, because it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
So hey Bubble family, and this video is going to be focusing on the South Africa tour and the various interviews that they both did. So over the coming weeks and months, I'm going to be looking at all of the interviews that those two have done. One's even before they got together with each other. And so hopefully this will give you some insight into the body language. And I'm going to also talk about afterwards what I think is happening here. So this is the first one, and I'm going to show you the video in full, and then I'm going to break it down. I'm going to slow it down in places. There will be a voiceover and there will be some caption. So that being said, here is the first one here now.
You talked about being a woman of colour, you know, in the same breath as you talked about being in the royal family. And I think people are very interested in your experience of race in Britain and America and being a mixed race couple. And I presume the reason you spoke in those terms was quite deliberate.
I would hope that the world will get to a point where you just see us as a couple who's in love, right? Because I don't wake up every day and identify as being anything other than who I've always been. It's just I'm Meghan, and I married this incredible man, and this to me is just part of our love story. But for me, when I made the choice to add those words into the speech, it was really at the last minute, and I said to Harry, I was like, what do you think if I add this in? I don't know, it just felt right. And he very kindly and supportively said, if that's what feels right, then that's what you should say.
What you need to do here is pause on some of these moments so you can see that the write-up that I'm saying is where she's eye blocking here, and this is where she's talking to the interviewer, but she stares. She has a very bizarre way of staring at somebody, and I think it's just to enforce what she's saying and to see if she's being believed. But you can also see the absolute disdain when she looks over to Harry. And again, this eye blocking, which is classic when you're not comfortable with something or something feels a bit shameful or you don't like what you're saying. Again, this weird smile when she's talking about something uncomfortable, where she's saying she's unsure. So you wouldn't necessarily be smiling in that moment. And here she's showing, again, she's being a little bit flirtatious, which I think she is like this with most males, maybe even females too. She lifts her neck, which is a sign of confidence here. And again, trying to engage with the interviewer. But again, like you say, her chin is forward. Her head is slightly back, which is confidence. She's at this point now, she's getting quite comfortable with the interviewer, and she's getting quite confident in what she's talking about. But again, she does this weird turtling here, which then indicates an insecurity in what she's talking about. More disdain. You can really see this when it's slowed down. And this is when she's talking about Harry. So this, I don't think that she likes Harry in this moment. And this is again when she shakes her head no, when she's talking about something that was happening. So it should have been like a nod down, but it's not. So I don't believe that happened. And again, here she does. She thrusts her head forward, enforcing up the belief in what she's talking about here. So I'm guessing that she was told no with this speech, that she wasn't to add in about being a woman of colour, but she decided to go ahead with that anyway and add that in.
Because it's true, like before I was part of this family, that's how I identified with people and connection, as a mother now, as a wife now, but just as a woman and as a woman of color, which has been brought to the forefront in a more prominent way.
When she says it's true, before I was part of this family, or does she not do it now then? She does a huge amount of eye blocking. I mean, slowing this down, you can see by her facial expressions. I also noticed that she does a lot of rocking back and forth, which is a level of anxiety in body language, which is, again, unusual for a narcissist. And I do wonder if the fact that Harry is standing to her left with Archie, she's a little bit uncomfortable being in this interview, which is unusual for a narcissist. Interestingly, the whole time she's interviewing, she's giving eye contact. But then when she talks about things that should be sort of a happy situation, she looks down a lot. And like I say, she doesn't give eye contact towards Harry or Archie at any point. And when she's referencing them, like now, she looks down to her left. She doesn't meet their gaze, which again is very odd. And then she circles her head here, which is confusion. So she's not in alignment with what she's talking about with being a wife and a mother, which is when she says this moment here, which is really, really odd behaviour and an odd sentence within itself. And again, when she's talking about being a wife and a mother, she's shaking her head no here, which you can see when it's slowed down, which, okay, technically she is a wife, but there is something about this that she just doesn't align with. And again, watching her eye movement, she's circling her head. She's giving a lot of eye contact, which is conducive with wanting to see if what she's stating is being believed. And again, we have the rocking back and forth, which again is anxiety. So this again doesn't align with a narcissist who's usually very confident. So something's definitely up here.
Have a great time in Joburg.
Thanks, Susie. See you later.
Now watch as she goes to take Archie from Harry. Look at his face. And then realizing that he's not letting go. He has literally got his hands over his face. He hasn't budged at all. So then she changes and then leans in. And then look at Tom Bradbury's face. There is something definitely there that he notices. But it looks like Harry leans in to say something to her. And she changes tactics and goes to then kiss Archie. But Harry's hand does not move. It stays there, which is really odd given that if she's meant to be his mother, then Harry looks up, sees the camera, smiles, and then they walk away. Meghan just has this weird behaviour. It's very, I don't know, claw-like. I don't know, it's just very strange given, but you can tell that there's something that happens in that moment where she changes. But look at Harry, he could not be holding the baby any tighter. And given that Meghan is meant to be this child's mother, and then she does her usual touching his back, guiding him, she often does, like, again, very mother. She acts more like a mother to Harry than anything else. It's really weird. And then she does this very strange moment here, that this curtsy, weird bow thing. I don't know what that is, but it's very strange.
So before we get to the explanation of what I think in this video, it is that time, which is interval, where you can go grab yourself a cuppa quickly while I do the members, and I also do the shout out.
Today's member shout out goes to Lisa KP and Erin Abu. So well done, ladies.
If you want to be part of this, then you can join up on the membership, and that is right next to the subscribe button, where you can click on join and become a member. The other thing as well is also to remind you to like and subscribe this video. So when you see her finish the interview, she walks over to Harry, and as I've explained in little captions and the voiceover, Harry's behavior is very protective. And this is why when I look at certain videos, I believe that this child that we're seeing here is potentially the real Archie. And as I've said before, it's interesting how with this Archie, we no longer see. So since Megxit, we no longer see this Archie. And that goes along with my theory that something happened when they were in the UK. Something happened and the real mother stepped in and said, I do not want Meghan having anything to do with this, with my child. Because we have never seen this Archie since Megxit. We've seen weird photographs, weird orchestrated videos, edited videos, blurry videos, and I will get to all of those because I'm going to be looking into the Oprah interview, the video that we saw on Oprah, etc. But on this one, you see Harry is very protective. He has got his hands around Archie. He's got his hand over his head. Now, what is normal behavior, you would think, given if Meghan was the mother and Archie was Meghan's child, is as she walks over, Harry would move his hand because she's coming in to take him. So he would either allow her to take him, or he would have moved his hand down because she then goes, especially when she goes in to give him a kiss, he keeps his hand right by his side of his face. And not only that, he leans in. Now, generally in body language, when someone is leaning in and there's affection there, you tend to pull back to allow them the space to come in and to say, give the child a kiss. He would have moved his hand, but he doesn't. So she's practically moving her head up to give him a kiss. Now, if Meghan was, say, Archie's child and Harry was being overprotective, this would potentially frustrate Meghan because at the end of the day, she's his mother. What she potentially would have done was moved Harry's hand down so she can then go in and give Archie a kiss, in a way saying, it's okay, you don't need to be super protective, it's fine, I'm his mum. But she doesn't. And if you watch her, she actually acts a bit sheepish. Then Harry, he doesn't even engage with her. He leans in and it almost looks to me as if he's whispering something to her, because she then sort of looks a bit sheepish, and her behavior as she walks away, where she does that weird kind of, I don't know, it's like it's not even a bow, it's like a weird, like a half curtsy bow, strange, but it's almost childlike. It's very almost as if she's been caught out doing something, and so it feels to me that Harry has said something to her, whispered something, and she's possibly recognizing that Tom Bradbury might have overheard, and so she's sort of I can't really describe what it is. It's just a very weird action that's, again, very sheepish, childlike, as if to say, oh, you know, just in case you've overheard that, oops, you know, that type of thing. So, and then they sort of walk down, but there's no engagement with Harry at all. And if you look back at the video, the interview, Meghan, when she talks about Harry, where she says, oh, I got Harry, you know, I turned to Harry and I said, you know, she looks over to him as if it's like getting approval, but her body language is stating this didn't happen. So it's misaligned with what she's talking about. So she's incongruent. And that shows you that she potentially didn't ask Harry for his permission. And so there's every chance that they've had this falling out and Harry's angry with her. The only time he looks up sort of engaging is when they're about to leave. He looks up and smiles towards the camera and Tom. But the way he looks at Meghan is not like, I'm a loving husband, this is your son. And she doesn't go to take him. It's like she goes to take him and then realizes that Harry's not budging. And she changes her behavior and then goes in to kiss Archie. It's very strange behavior, given the fact that Meghan is supposedly, as we're being told, Archie's mother. And I do not believe that. And this type of behavior shows you, because like I say, Harry is walking down the steps. He's again very, very protective, and he's doing it in such a way that it's like it's not, it almost is, it's like it's not protective as in like he's a father being protective. It's a barrier. He's literally, he could not be covering Archie anymore with his hands. It is a barrier, and that barrier feels to me that it's a barrier against Meghan. So I feel that this particular video is very, very crucial to showcasing that Meghan is not the mother. Their behavior shows that, and there's something that's happened prior that he's become very protective over Archie. But this also shows me that potentially Archie is his, because it's one of two things. Archie is his, or Archie is obviously a baby and he's being protective of the baby. But the difference being is that this is the way he's holding Archie. It's like ownership, because I feel that if this was just a child that we want to go to like the rent-a-child scenario, then he's got no claim over this child, because if it's a rent-a-child, they're both equally in the wrong. It's somebody else's child. However, Harry's acting like this is mine, my child, and you're not touching him, you're not coming near him. And you can totally see by his body language that this is the case. And then you tell me in the comments what you think, because I genuinely do believe this perfectly showcases everything that I've been saying, that this Archie, this child, is actually Archie. Now, I've also had people say to me, and I've had things sent to me to state that when they went to South Africa, the real mother was actually with them. And that could also be potentially true. So, and then what happened then, something happened in regards to their Megxit, and I believe that was all part of it, because Meghan was stopped from spending time with Archie. And I think that that also showcases it. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. Do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? That's absolutely fine either way. But give me what, you know, if there's anything that you picked up on that perhaps I didn't see, because as much as I do know about this stuff, I sometimes miss things too. So did you notice something in that interview that you feel is quite relevant to what we're talking about here? And yeah, let me know. So as I said before, if you've enjoyed this video, before you click off, please go across and stick your finger on that like button, because it really, really does help the algorithm. It tells YouTube that I'm a channel worth keeping. So you can do your part, if nothing else, by clicking that like button. Pretty please. Coming up, I also have another interview which will be going up next week. So that is going to be a very, hopefully, an exciting one to listen to. So don't forget to subscribe so you do not miss out on future uploads. So I will see you in the next video. And in the meantime, as always, take care, and I love you. I appreciate you, but most of all, I respect you. Bye-bye.